God says, you are going to hear some good news because of your last act. If you skip this now, you will miss it. So I order you to listen to God now before it's too late. I am telling you clearly that something beautiful is already moving toward you because of what you just did. And if you turn away now, you may not recognize the blessing that has been prepared in response to your obedience. I am speaking with urgency because the good news connected to your last act is not ordinary, and it carries the weight of breakthrough, restoration, and divine reward that you have quietly prayed for in moments when no one else understood your tears. Before you read any further, write 1111 in the comments as a sign that you are present and ready to receive what I am releasing over your life. I do not repeat myself without reason, and when I say that you will hear good news because of your last act, I am revealing that heaven has taken notice of a decision you made when it would have been easier to choose bitterness, fear, or silence. If you ignore this call to listen now, you may delay your own awareness of what I am doing, and that is why I command you to stay attentive before it is too late to recognize the shift I have already set in motion. The last act you performed was seen by me in full detail, and I measured not only the action itself, but the intention and faith that stood behind it when you thought no one else cared. The good news that is coming is directly connected to that moment of obedience, kindness, restraint, forgiveness, or courage that you offered even while carrying your own burdens. I am not speaking in riddles because I want you to understand that I am a just and loving Father who responds to faithfulness with reward at the right time. The reason I order you to listen now is because distraction has tried to pull you away from expectancy, and I refuse to let you miss what I am about to announce over your life. If this word is already stirring hope inside your heart, take a moment to like this video as an act of agreement with the good news I am releasing, and let that simple action be your declaration that you believe I am working on your behalf. You have wondered whether your last act truly mattered, especially when there was no immediate applause or visible change in your situation, yet I assure you that I counted it as a seed planted into fertile ground. Good news grows from seeds of obedience, and I have watered what you planted with my favor, protection, and unseen arrangements that are aligning even now. I am not bound by the clock that pressures you, and my timing carries precision that cannot fail or arrive too early. When I say that you are going to hear good news because of your last act, I am declaring that the chain reaction has already begun in places you cannot see with natural eyes. Listen carefully, because the breakthrough will not feel random, but will come as a direct response to the faith you chose when doubt tried to overpower you. There are voices that have told you that nothing changes and that your efforts dissolve into silence, but I am silencing those lies by reminding you that I reward those who trust me with sincere hearts. The good news may arrive through a conversation, an opportunity, a reconciliation, or a door that suddenly opens where there was once only resistance. I am preparing you now, so that when it comes, you will recognize it as the fruit of your last act and not as coincidence. Do not step away from this moment, because I am strengthening your expectation so that you stand firm instead of shrinking back into fear. The command to listen before it is too late is not a threat, but a loving warning to remain spiritually awake while I unfold what has your name written on it. You felt uncertain when you chose to act in righteousness, and yet you still moved forward with humility and trust, and that is why heaven responded with approval over your life. The good news connected to your last act carries restoration in areas where you felt drained, and it brings confirmation that I am near even when circumstances seem distant. I want you to hold this promise with confidence, because what I am sending is tailored specifically to your season and your needs. As you continue to receive these words, write Amen in the comments to declare that you believe the good news is already on its way. Let that declaration rise from a place of faith, because agreement with my word opens your heart to receive what I have prepared. I am reminding you again that you are not forgotten, and that your last act created movement in the spiritual realm that cannot be reversed by doubt or delay. Good news is not an empty phrase from my mouth, but a living reality that carries peace, provision, and reassurance that I am guiding your steps. When you chose obedience over impulse, forgiveness over revenge, generosity over selfishness, or patience over anger, you aligned yourself with my heart in a way that invited favor to follow you. Now I am aligning circumstances to match the posture you displayed, and that alignment will produce testimony in your life. Stay with me in this moment, because I am not finished revealing how deeply your last act has positioned you for blessing. You may not see the full picture yet, but I see the end from the beginning, and I assure you that the good news will not disappoint you. I am covering you with protection while the details come together, and I am guarding your mind against discouragement so that you do not sabotage the joy that is coming. My command to listen now is a sign of care, because I want your heart prepared to receive without fear when the announcement reaches you. What's really behind the 7-second brain trick exploding online? A leaked CIA ritual is turning heads and bank balances. Backed by neuroscience labs, this at-home method removes money blocks and unlocks unstoppable wealth flow. But the page could vanish any time. Click the link in the first comment before it's permanently deleted. You may have believed that your action was small and unnoticed, yet in my sight it carried weight, sincerity, and trust that moved my heart toward you. I am continuing to speak with urgency because the good news that is coming will require you to stand ready instead of shrinking back into old patterns of disbelief. Your last act was a turning point, even if it felt ordinary at the time, because it proved that your faith is no longer just words, but a living commitment that shapes your choices. When you forgave instead of holding on to pain, or when you gave even though you felt lack, or when you stayed silent instead of reacting in anger, you created room for me to work on your behalf. The good news connected to that moment carries restoration that reaches deeper than surface circumstances, and it will touch areas of your life that have felt dry and uncertain. I am aligning people, opportunities, and timing in ways that reflect the posture of your heart, and nothing about this alignment is accidental or delayed. There were moments when you almost gave up on expecting anything good, because waiting can feel heavy and progress can appear invisible, yet I never stopped arranging what is meant for you. I do not forget the seeds planted in faith, and I do not ignore the quiet sacrifices you made when no one was applauding your integrity. The good news that is approaching is evidence that I reward obedience in my perfect time, and it will confirm that your last act was seen and honored. Write 10 inches the comments as a declaration that you trust the process I am guiding you through. Let that simple declaration strengthen your agreement with the promise that is unfolding. You must understand that my timing is not careless or rushed, because I prepare both the blessing and the one receiving it, so that the result brings peace instead of confusion. The reason I ordered you to listen before it is too late is because distraction has been attempting to dull your expectation, and I refuse to let you drift into indifference just before your breakthrough appears. Good news requires readiness of heart, and I am shaping your inner strength so that you receive it with gratitude rather than fear. The last act you offered was proof that your character is growing, and I am matching that growth with visible evidence of my favor. Stay attentive to my voice, because the confirmation you have longed for is drawing closer with every step you take in faith. You may notice subtle shifts before the full announcement arrives, because I often send signs of movement to encourage those who remain watchful. A conversation may begin to open doors that once seemed sealed, or a burden you carried for months may suddenly feel lighter as clarity replaces confusion. These are not random events, but gentle indicators that the good news tied to your last act is pressing into your reality. I am not teasing you with hope, but building your confidence in my faithfulness, so that your joy will not be fragile when the blessing becomes visible. Remember that I am a God of order and compassion, and everything I release into your life carries purpose beyond what you can immediately understand. The last act you performed also strengthened you in ways you did not notice at first, because obedience shapes identity while blessing shapes circumstances. I care deeply about both your inner transformation and your outward provision, and I never separate the two when I reward my children. The good news that is coming will affirm that your growth was not wasted, and it will encourage you to continue choosing faith even when results are not instant. I am developing resilience in you, so that success does not overwhelm you and delay does not discourage you. My hand is steady over your life, and I am guiding you with precision that protects you from harm while leading you toward promise. There were hidden battles surrounding your last act, and I saw the resistance you overcame in order to remain aligned with my will. That resistance did not intimidate me, because I am greater than any obstacle that attempts to block your progress. The good news I am sending will not only bless you, but also silence doubts that have whispered that your obedience was pointless. When it arrives, it will feel like fresh air after a long season of heaviness, and you will recognize that I was working all along. I am inviting you to hold on to hope with renewed strength, because the fruit of your last act is ripening under my careful watch. Continue walking forward with integrity, because the consistency of your character creates stability for the blessing I am delivering. I do not reward impulsive faith that fades under pressure, but I honor steady trust that endures through uncertainty. The good news connected to your last act is evidence that you are growing into a stronger version of yourself, and I take joy in that transformation. My protection surrounds you even now, guarding you from unseen harm while preparing the path that leads to joy. Write 777 inches the comments as a sign that you receive my protection and the promise attached to your obedience. You are not alone in this season, even if the waiting has felt isolating and quiet, because my presence has remained constant beside you. I am closer than your fears and stronger than your doubts, and I am invested in the outcome of your story. The good news that approaches is part of a larger plan that extends beyond one moment of celebration, because I desire lasting peace rather than temporary excitement. Trust that the details are being arranged with wisdom that surpasses human planning, and believe that your last act has positioned you for something greater than you expected. I am faithful to complete what I have started in your life, and I am guiding you toward a future that reflects the trust you placed in me. The secret ritual they never wanted public is finally out. A 7-second brain technique, backed by leaked CIA data and 4 neuroscience labs, is helping families erase debt and attract money on autopilot. But this miracle won't stay public long. Click the link in the description and comments now before it's gone forever. Stay anchored in faith, because your obedience has activated movement that cannot be undone by impatience or distraction. The good news is not a distant possibility, but a prepared reality moving steadily toward your door. I am shaping the circumstances so that when it arrives, you will see clearly that it is connected to the decision you made when you chose righteousness over convenience. What you did recently created a spiritual opening that allowed my favor to move more freely into your path. You may not have felt powerful in that moment, yet obedience carries authority that even you did not fully recognize. Your last act was not only seen, but it was recorded with honor, because it revealed maturity in your spirit that had been developing quietly over time. I watched you resist the temptation to respond from hurt, and I saw you choose humility when pride tried to rise within you. That decision carried weight in heaven, and it set in motion good news that now advances toward you with purpose. I do not exaggerate when I say that your obedience has consequences that are beautiful and lasting. The reason I continue to call you to listen is because the unfolding of this promise requires awareness, and I desire you to recognize my hand clearly when the breakthrough appears. There were moments after your last act when doubt attempted to question whether anything would truly change, and I allowed that waiting season to strengthen your endurance rather than weaken your hope. Good news that comes from me is never rushed by anxiety, because I shape both the blessing and the receiver so that the outcome brings peace instead of chaos. You are being prepared to carry what I am releasing, and that preparation is as important as the gift itself. I am aligning timing with readiness so that what you receive will feel steady and secure. Nothing about this process is wasted, and nothing about your obedience was overlooked. You may soon notice that conversations shift in your favor, or that opportunities appear where rejection once stood firmly against you. These changes are not random events, but signs that the good news tied to your last act is drawing closer to visible reality. I am moving in quiet ways that surprise even those around you, and I am ensuring that what unfolds cannot be easily dismissed as coincidence. When the announcement reaches you, there will be clarity in your heart that confirms my involvement. Write 1212 in the comments as a declaration that you believe the good news connected to your obedience is real and already advancing toward you. I am not only sending external blessings, but also strengthening your inner confidence so that you stand firm when the door opens before you. Your last act demonstrated trust in me beyond what was comfortable, and I am responding with assurance that your faith is well placed. The good news will not merely excite you for a moment, but it will bring stability to areas where you have felt uncertain. I am establishing deeper roots of security in your life, and that stability will protect you from future storms. When you look back at this season, you will see that your obedience marked the beginning of a new chapter that carries more peace than struggle. The opposition you faced around your last act was not meaningless, because resistance often surrounds decisions that carry significant spiritual impact. I allowed you to experience that tension so that your trust would grow stronger instead of remaining shallow. Good news that comes after resistance carries a sweetness that shallow victories cannot provide. You endured discomfort with grace, and that endurance has opened space for joy that feels earned and cherished. I am rewarding not only what you did, but also the heart posture that sustained you through uncertainty. There are unseen protections surrounding you even now, because the blessing that approaches is valuable and requires safeguarding. I am guarding your mind from negative thoughts that try to convince you that nothing is happening, and I am shielding your path from distractions that could cause you to drift away from expectancy. The good news attached to your last act is being carried forward with divine precision, and I am ensuring that it reaches you at the appointed moment. Stay attentive to my voice, because I am guiding you through subtle confirmations that strengthen your anticipation. Trust that my hand remains steady over every detail that concerns you. Your growth did not begin with that last act, yet it was clearly displayed through it, and I take joy in seeing how far you have come. You are not the same person who once acted out of fear or impulse, because I have been shaping your character through quiet lessons and patient correction. The good news now moving toward you reflects that growth, and it honors the maturity you have developed in private moments of prayer and reflection. I am not blessing you randomly, but responding to a life that is aligning more closely with my heart. Write 15 inches the comments as a sign that you receive this confirmation of growth and the promise attached to it. Continue walking in humility, because the blessing you are about to receive will require balance and gratitude to sustain it. I am not elevating you to create pride, but to reveal what obedience can produce when it is rooted in love and faith. The good news, tied to your last act, will encourage you to keep choosing righteousness even when it feels costly. It will serve as a reminder that nothing done in trust toward me is ever wasted or ignored. My desire is not only to reward you once, but to establish a pattern of blessing that flows from consistent faithfulness. I see the areas of your life where you still feel fragile, and I am carefully reinforcing those spaces so that joy does not overwhelm you with fear of losing it. Good news can sometimes feel unfamiliar to a heart that has grown used to struggle, and I am gently preparing you to embrace it without hesitation. Your last act has already shifted the direction of your story, even if you cannot yet see the full transformation. I am guiding you step by step so that when the outcome becomes clear, you stand ready to receive it with steady confidence. Nothing about this promise is uncertain, because it rests on my faithfulness rather than your limited strength. Is this leaked CIA ritual the missing key to your financial breakthrough? A once-hidden brain ritual is spreading fast. This strange 7-second method, confirmed by elite neuroscience labs, activates your brain's wealth magnet. The government may shut this down. If you're seeing this, you are God's chosen child. Click the link in the description and comments before it's deleted. Hold on to the assurance that I am actively involved in your journey and that I am deeply aware of the sacrifices you made to stay aligned with my will. The good news forming around you carries not only provision and opportunity, but also reassurance that I am near and attentive. I am strengthening your heart so that you do not retreat into fear just before the breakthrough arrives. I have been arranging circumstances beyond your sight, ensuring that when the good news reaches you, it will fit into your life with precision instead of confusion. Nothing has been left to chance, and nothing about this process has been careless or rushed. Your last act was more than a single decision, because it represented a turning of your heart toward deeper trust in me, even when your emotions felt uncertain. I saw the quiet courage it took to act in alignment with faith instead of reacting from pain. And that courage stirred movement in the spiritual realm that cannot be undone. The good news connected to that obedience is layered with restoration, clarity, and opportunity that will confirm my involvement in your story. I am not simply rewarding an action, but affirming the direction your heart has chosen. When you feel moments of renewed hope rising within you, understand that they are signals of what is drawing near. You have sometimes wondered whether your consistency truly matters, especially when progress seemed invisible and waiting felt long. Yet I assure you that every faithful step has been building toward this outcome. Good news that carries weight often requires unseen preparation, and I have been strengthening both the path and your capacity to walk it. I am shaping the timing so that when the breakthrough appears, it will not overwhelm you, but instead anchor you in confidence. Your obedience has been like a key that unlocked doors you could not see, and those doors are now beginning to open quietly before you. Write 999 inches the comments as a declaration that you believe the shift is already taking place. The season you have been in has refined your patience and deepened your discernment, and that refinement was necessary so that the blessing would not distract you from my presence. I desire you to enjoy what I bring without losing the closeness we have cultivated through trust and prayer. The good news that approaches is not meant to pull you away from me, but to draw you into greater gratitude and reliance. I am ensuring that your foundation remains strong so that joy does not create instability. Your last act proved that you value my guidance more than immediate comfort, and that value is being honored now. There have been subtle confirmations appearing around you, moments of encouragement that felt almost small yet carried unusual reassurance, and those are gentle signs that I am near and active. I am preparing conversations that will affirm your direction and opening pathways that once seemed permanently closed. The good news will feel like alignment rather than surprise, because it is flowing directly from the posture you chose when you acted in obedience. I want you to notice how your inner peace has slowly grown even before circumstances fully changed, because that peace is part of the reward. Nothing about this unfolding is random, and nothing about your obedience was wasted. The opposition you faced did not intimidate me, and the doubts that whispered around you did not cancel what I intended to do. I allowed you to walk through tension so that your trust would mature into something resilient instead of fragile. Good news that follows endurance carries a depth of joy that fleeting success cannot provide. I am not only restoring what felt uncertain, but strengthening your confidence so that future challenges will not shake you easily. Write 17 inches the comments as a sign that you receive this strengthening and the promise that is coming with it. I am also adjusting areas within you that needed healing before the blessing could fully settle into your life. Sometimes I delay visible outcomes not as punishment, but as protection, because I desire you to carry what I give without fear of losing it. The good news connected to your last act will arrive in a way that feels safe and supported, because I have been reinforcing your heart along the way. Your growth has been quiet yet steady, and I take joy in seeing how you have responded to correction with humility instead of resistance. This maturity is part of the reason the promise can now move closer with confidence. Your obedience has also impacted others in ways you may never fully know, because faithfulness often creates ripples beyond personal blessing. I am weaving your story into a larger design that carries hope to those who observe your journey. The good news that is approaching will not only uplift you, but also inspire others to trust that obedience leads to reward. I am careful with the testimonies I build, and I am shaping yours with intention and compassion. Stay attentive to my voice, because the next steps I guide you into will align perfectly with what I have prepared. You may soon find yourself standing in a moment where what once felt distant suddenly feels real and present, and I want you to receive it without shrinking back in disbelief. I am strengthening your expectations so that joy does not catch you unprepared. The good news tied to your last act is not fragile, and it is not temporary, because it rests on my faithfulness rather than your performance. I am bringing clarity where confusion once lingered, and stability where uncertainty once weighed heavily on your thoughts. Write 19 inches the comments as a declaration that you stand ready to receive what I have arranged. Continue to walk forward with humility and gratitude, because those qualities will sustain the blessing when it fully unfolds. I am not finished shaping your journey, yet this season marks a visible confirmation that obedience truly matters. I have been attentive to every detail, refining circumstances so that when the blessing unfolds it will feel unmistakably connected to your obedience. Nothing about this is random, and nothing about your faithfulness has been overlooked or forgotten. What if 7 seconds is all it takes to flip your financial fate? A shocking CIA leak just exposed a hidden brain ritual helping ordinary people erase debt and pull in massive wealth. Backed by 4 neuroscience labs, this at-home method is turning struggle into luxury fast. But this page could be erased any moment. Click the link in the first comment now before it's gone forever. Your last act was not dramatic in the eyes of the world, yet it carried sincerity that reached deeply into my heart. You chose integrity when compromise seemed easier, and you chose trust when uncertainty pressed heavily against your thoughts. That decision sent a signal of alignment between your will and mine, and from that alignment, good news began to take shape. I do not respond to empty gestures, but I honor authentic obedience that flows from love and reverence. The reason I continue to remind you to listen is because the fulfillment of this promise requires awareness, and I want you prepared rather than surprised. You have walked through moments of discouragement since that act, wondering whether anything truly shifted in your favor, yet I was working beneath the surface where you could not see. Good news that is rooted in faith often grows quietly before it becomes visible, and the quiet season was necessary to protect the promise from premature exposure. I have been strengthening the framework of what I am bringing, ensuring that it rests on stability rather than excitement alone. Your obedience opened the door, and my faithfulness has been guiding what comes through it. Write 555 inches the comments as a declaration that you believe the door is opening in my perfect time. I am also preparing your emotions so that when the announcement reaches you, joy will not feel foreign or overwhelming. Sometimes hearts that have endured long seasons of waiting struggle to accept good news fully because disappointment once shaped their expectations. I am gently reshaping your expectation so that hope feels natural again and trust feels safe. The blessing tied to your last act will confirm that I am attentive not only to your actions but to your inner struggles as well. I care about the restoration of your confidence just as much as the change of your circumstances. You may begin to sense an unusual calm settling over you, even before visible change becomes clear, and that calm is part of the good news already touching your life. Peace often precedes manifestation, because I desire your spirit to be grounded before circumstances shift. I am guarding your mind from negative assumptions that try to dismiss what I am doing. The enemy of your joy would prefer that you remain skeptical so that you fail to recognize the blessing when it appears. I am countering that skepticism with reassurance and steady confirmation. The last act you performed was an act of surrender as much as it was an act of obedience, and surrender creates space for me to move freely. When you released control and trusted me with the outcome, you demonstrated faith that goes beyond surface belief. Good news that flows from surrender carries depth, because it is not built on your striving but on my provision. I am honoring that surrender by bringing clarity to areas that once felt tangled and uncertain. Write 222 inches the comments as a sign that you continue to surrender outcomes to my guidance. There have been unseen conversations taking place around your future, and I have been influencing decisions in rooms you have never entered. I am shaping circumstances that will eventually intersect with your path in ways that feel seamless and timely. The good news connected to your last act is being positioned carefully so that when it arrives, it fits without forcing or confusion. I do not rush my work because rushed blessings often lack stability. What I am bringing is steady, sustainable, and aligned with the growth you have experienced. Your endurance has strengthened you in ways you may not yet fully appreciate, and that strength will support the blessing when it settles into your life. I have been refining your perspective so that you view success with gratitude rather than fear of loss. The good news will not threaten your peace, because it will be anchored in the security of my presence. You will recognize that it is not merely an opportunity or improvement, but confirmation that obedience leads to reward. My desire is not only to bless you once, but to establish a pattern of trust and fulfillment that continues beyond this season. The season of waiting has also drawn you closer to me, and that closeness is something I value deeply. I never allowed the delay to separate you from my presence, but used it to deepen our connection. Good news that flows from relationship carries greater meaning than blessings that come without intimacy. I am pleased with the way you continued to seek me even when answers were not immediate. That seeking has prepared you to handle what is coming with humility and gratitude rather than pride. Soon you will look back at the moment of your last act and realize that it marked the beginning of a new direction, even though at the time it felt ordinary. I am aligning this new direction with purpose that extends beyond temporary gain. The good news will serve as confirmation that you are walking in alignment with my will, and that alignment brings peace that surpasses understanding. Write 1212 in the comments as a declaration that you receive alignment and the blessing that follows it. Remain attentive and hopeful, because what I am bringing is not fragile or fleeting. I am protecting the promise until the exact moment of release, and I am guarding your heart from distractions that attempt to pull you away from expectancy. I have not forgotten the sincerity behind that decision, and I have not allowed the waiting season to erase its significance. The unfolding you are about to witness carries my signature, and it will affirm that I respond to faithfulness with precision and compassion. Your last act was a declaration that you trust me even when outcomes are unclear, and that trust created space for me to intervene in ways that human effort alone could never accomplish. I saw the restraint you practiced when you could have reacted harshly, and I saw the generosity you showed when resources felt limited. Those choices were not small in my sight, because they revealed a heart that values righteousness over convenience. The good news forming around you is the fruit of that heart posture, and it is being delivered with intention rather than impulse. I am careful with what I release, and I ensure that it reflects both my love and my wisdom. There were days when you wondered whether your obedience would ever lead to visible change, and I allowed you to wrestle with that uncertainty so that your faith would mature beyond dependence on immediate results. Good news that grows through endurance carries a deeper stability because it is rooted in perseverance rather than momentary excitement. I have been shaping you quietly during this season, strengthening your discernment and softening your fears. What is coming will not feel chaotic or rushed because it has been nurtured through patience and careful timing. Write 777 inches the comments as a declaration that you believe the fulfillment is near and steady. People are asking why money is suddenly flowing into random lives. A leaked CIA discovery reveals a 7-second brain ritual that quietly rewires your mind for wealth. Proven by 4 neuroscience labs, people are wiping out debt and stepping into luxury with ease. If you're seeing this, you're very lucky. Click the link in the description and comments before it disappears. You may begin to notice subtle confirmations appearing around you, such as renewed clarity in decisions or unexpected encouragement from others, and these are signs that the alignment is progressing. I am guiding conversations and influencing outcomes that will intersect with your life at the right moment. The good news connected to your last act will feel like a natural continuation of the growth you have experienced, rather than an abrupt disruption. I desire your peace to remain intact as the blessing unfolds, and I am ensuring that every detail supports that peace. Nothing about this promise is fragile because it is supported by my enduring faithfulness. The resistance you encountered after your last act was not an indication of failure, but a sign that something meaningful had been set into motion. Significant obedience often attracts testing, yet testing refines rather than destroys when trust remains intact. I watched you remain steady even when doubts attempted to shake your confidence, and that steadiness has strengthened the foundation of what I am bringing. The good news will not only change circumstances, but also confirm that endurance produces lasting reward. I am pleased with the way you chose humility over pride and faith over fear. I am also adjusting areas within you that needed healing before the blessing could fully settle into your life, because I care about sustainability rather than temporary excitement. The waiting period allowed wounds to close and perspectives to shift so that joy would not be overshadowed by insecurity. Good news tied to your last act carries restoration that extends beyond material improvement, touching emotional and spiritual areas that required renewal. I am preparing you to receive without suspicion and to celebrate without anxiety. Write 10 inches the comments as a sign that you are ready to receive with confidence and peace. Your obedience has had ripple effects beyond what you can currently see, influencing hearts and decisions that will eventually support your path. I am weaving together threads that seem unrelated from your perspective, yet they form a pattern of purpose that I see clearly. The good news approaching you is part of a larger design that extends beyond one moment of relief or celebration. I am establishing stability that will endure through future seasons, and this blessing will serve as a reminder that my timing is trustworthy. When it arrives, you will recognize that it fits seamlessly into the journey you have been walking. There may be a moment soon when you sense a shift so clear that doubt cannot disguise it, and I want you to embrace that moment without hesitation. I am strengthening your inner assurance so that joy does not feel foreign or undeserved. The good news attached to your last act will confirm that you are not overlooked and that your faithfulness carries weight in heaven. I do not reward randomly, and I do not forget acts of obedience that reflect love and trust. What I am releasing carries my approval and my protection. Continue walking with humility and gratitude, because these qualities will anchor you when circumstances begin to improve visibly. I am not elevating you for the sake of appearance, but for the sake of purpose and testimony. The good news forming around you will inspire not only you, but also those who witness your journey and see the connection between obedience and blessing. I am shaping your story with care, and I am ensuring that it reflects my faithfulness rather than human striving alone. Write 15 inches the comments as a declaration that you stand firm in gratitude as fulfillment approaches. Stay attentive to my guidance in the coming days, because I may lead you to take small steps that align perfectly with what I have prepared. These steps will not feel forced, but natural and clear, as though the path has gently opened before you. The good news tied to your last act is ready to settle into your life in a way that feels steady and reassuring. I have been guarding this unfolding carefully, because I desire it to arrive with strength and stability rather than confusion. What you are about to witness is not sudden in my sight, because I have been shaping it from the moment you chose faith over impulse. Remain steady in your spirit, because clarity is about to replace the uncertainty that once weighed on you. Your last act demonstrated trust that went beyond words, and that trust has opened doors in realms you cannot see with natural eyes. I have been influencing circumstances, softening resistance, and creating pathways that will soon intersect with your life in unmistakable ways. The good news attached to your obedience carries both relief and confirmation, because it affirms that I respond when my children choose righteousness in difficult moments. I am not distant from your efforts, and I am not indifferent to your sacrifices. Everything you surrendered in faith has been accounted for, and the return is being prepared with care. There were quiet nights when you replayed that decision in your mind, wondering if you had done the right thing or if your restraint had cost you more than it would ever return. I allowed that internal wrestling to strengthen your discernment and deepen your reliance on me rather than on immediate results. Good news that grows through reflection carries wisdom along with blessing, and I am ensuring that what arrives does not simply excite you, but matures you further. The path I am guiding you on is one of steady increase, not unstable leaps. Write 9 inches the comments as a declaration that you believe wisdom and blessing are arriving together. You may begin to notice shifts in the tone of conversations around you, or subtle changes in how opportunities present themselves, and these are signs that the alignment is reaching completion. I am orchestrating meetings and moments that will feel natural yet deeply significant. The good news connected to your last act will not feel forced or unnatural because it has been carefully positioned to fit into the rhythm of your life. I am ensuring that the timing protects you from unnecessary pressure while still honoring your obedience. What I release is always measured with purpose and compassion. Why is everyone rushing to this 7-second brain ritual? Leaked CIA files exposed a hidden brainwave technique that opens the door to wealth fast. Verified by 4 top neuroscience labs, it's turning financial stress into abundance almost overnight. But this secret won't stay public for long. Click the link in the pinned comments before it's deleted forever. The resistance you once felt is losing its influence because the authority of your obedience has already outweighed it. I watched you stand firm when temptation tried to persuade you otherwise, and that firmness has created stability in the foundation of what I am building. Good news that follows: resistance carries depth because it is born from perseverance rather than convenience. I am not only rewarding the action itself, but the character that was revealed through it. Your growth has been quiet yet powerful, and it is now ready to be affirmed. I have also been preparing your heart to receive without fear of losing what is given. Sometimes past disappointments create hesitation, even when blessing approaches, and I have been gently healing those areas within you. The good news tied to your last act will arrive with reassurance, and it will feel secure rather than fragile. I am reinforcing your confidence so that joy can settle into your life without being overshadowed by anxiety. Write 1212 in the comments as a sign that you are ready to receive with confidence and peace. Your obedience has also strengthened your spiritual awareness, allowing you to recognize my guidance more clearly than before. I have been teaching you to discern my voice in subtle ways, and that discernment will be valuable as new opportunities unfold. The good news approaching you is not only about change in circumstance, but about confirmation of direction. I am aligning you with paths that reflect your growth and protect your peace. Nothing about this transition will contradict the lessons you have learned. Instead, it will build upon them. There may soon be a moment when you realize that something long awaited has finally shifted, and I want you to respond with gratitude rather than disbelief. I am strengthening your expectation so that when confirmation comes, it does not catch you unprepared. The good news attached to your last act is a continuation of my faithfulness, not a random surprise. I have been steady in my commitment to you, even when progress felt slow from your perspective. Write 555 inches the comments as a declaration that you trust my steady timing. Continue walking in humility and integrity, because these qualities will sustain the blessing as it becomes visible. I am not elevating you to create pride, but to demonstrate what obedience can produce when it is rooted in trust. The good news forming around you carries testimony within it, and others will notice the connection between your faithfulness and your reward. I am shaping your story in a way that reflects my goodness rather than your striving. Your last act was a seed planted in confidence, and the fruit is now ready to emerge. Stay attentive to my guidance in the coming days, because small instructions may position you perfectly for what I have prepared. These instructions will not feel overwhelming, but clear and aligned with peace. The good news tied to your obedience is steady and certain because it rests on my faithfulness rather than on changing circumstances. From the moment you chose faith over impulse, I began aligning outcomes that reflect that choice. I have been steady, deliberate, and protective over this unfolding because what I bring into your life must strengthen you rather than overwhelm you. Stay grounded in trust, because what approaches carries both confirmation and peace. Your last act was a quiet declaration that you trust my character, even when results are delayed, and that declaration has power. I saw the internal struggle you overcame, and I saw the humility that shaped your response when it would have been easier to act differently. That humility did not go unnoticed, and it did not disappear into silence. The good news connected to that obedience has been forming like a seed beneath the soil, growing steadily until it is strong enough to break through into visible reality. I do not rush growth, because rushed growth cannot support lasting blessing. There were moments when your emotions felt uncertain, and you questioned whether your choice truly mattered in the larger picture of your life. I allowed you to sit with that uncertainty so that your trust would mature beyond dependence on quick confirmation. Good news that comes after deep trust carries weight and meaning that shallow rewards cannot match. I have been shaping not only your circumstances but your confidence, so that when fulfillment appears, you receive it without hesitation. Write 17 inches the comments as a declaration that your trust remains steady as fulfillment approaches. You may begin to notice subtle shifts that seem small at first, yet carry unusual clarity and alignment, and these are signs that the process is reaching completion. Conversations may take on a different tone, or opportunities may begin to present themselves with less resistance than before. I am orchestrating these movements carefully so that the good news tied to your last act fits seamlessly into your life. Nothing will feel forced or chaotic because I am a God of order and compassion. What I release is measured, purposeful, and protective. The resistance that once surrounded you is losing its strength because the authority of obedience has already outweighed it. I watched you remain composed when provoked, and I watched you choose grace when frustration could have taken control. That composure strengthened your foundation, and now I am building upon it. The good news that is nearing you carries confirmation that integrity produces stability. I am not only changing outcomes, but affirming the character that has been forming within you. Is this the same CIA brain ritual changing lives in seconds? A new leak reveals a powerful 7-second technique developed under secret research. Backed by neuroscience, people are moving from debt to wealth and luxury faster than believed possible. But this secret may be deleted soon. Click the link in the comments before it disappears. I have also been tending to your inner healing, because blessings settle best in hearts that are not burdened by unresolved fear. The waiting season gave space for wounds to close and perspectives to shift, and I did not waste that time. Good news connected to your last act will feel secure rather than fragile, because I have reinforced your sense of worth and confidence. I want you to receive what is coming without suspicion or anxiety. Write 333 inches the comments as a sign that you are ready to receive with peace. Your obedience has influenced more than you realize, creating ripples that extend beyond your immediate situation. I have been weaving connections and opportunities that will intersect with your path at precisely the right moment. The good news approaching you is not isolated, but part of a larger design that reflects my wisdom. I am aligning your growth with your provision so that they move together in harmony. When the outcome becomes visible, you will see that it fits naturally into the direction your life has been taking. There may soon be a clear sign that something long awaited has shifted in your favor, and I want you to respond with gratitude instead of disbelief. I am strengthening your expectation so that joy does not feel foreign when it arrives. The good news tied to your last act is not a temporary relief, but a step into greater stability and assurance. I have been faithful through every unseen detail, and I remain faithful now. Write 888 inches the comments as a declaration that you believe stability and assurance are settling into your life. Continue walking with humility and attentiveness, because the same qualities that open the door will sustain what enters through it. I am not elevating you to create distance from me, but to draw you into deeper gratitude and partnership. The good news forming around you carries testimony within it, and others will observe the connection between obedience and fulfillment. I am shaping your journey with intention, ensuring that it reflects my goodness rather than your striving alone. Your last act was not a single moment, but the beginning of visible alignment. Stay attentive to the gentle guidance I provide in the coming days, because small instructions may position you perfectly for what I have prepared. These instructions will align with peace rather than pressure, and they will confirm that you are walking in step with my will. I have been aligning circumstances, shaping timing, and strengthening your inner confidence so that what arrives feels secure rather than overwhelming. This is not a sudden turn of events, but the unfolding of a process that started when you chose obedience over convenience. Remain calm in your spirit, because what is coming carries peace along with confirmation. Your last act was a quiet but powerful agreement with my will, and that agreement has authority. I saw the sincerity behind your choice, and I saw the discipline it required to act with integrity when your emotions were unsettled. That sincerity created space for my favor to move with clarity and purpose in your life. The good news connected to that obedience has been shaped carefully so that it reflects both my love and my order. I do not respond to noise, but I respond to genuine trust, and your trust has not been ignored. There were days when doubt attempted to return, whispering that nothing significant had changed after your decision. I allowed you to feel the weight of waiting so that your trust would grow deeper roots rather than shallow expectations. Good news that develops through patience carries endurance within it, and that endurance will protect your joy from being shaken easily. I have been cultivating strength in you during the quiet season, and that strength will now support what I am bringing forward. Write 666 inches the comments as a declaration that your patience has not been wasted. You may soon notice that clarity begins to replace confusion in areas where you once felt uncertain, and that clarity is a sign of alignment nearing completion. I am influencing details that once seemed outside your control, gently redirecting paths and opening access where there was once resistance. The good news tied to your last act will feel like a natural continuation of your growth rather than an abrupt disruption. I desire your peace to remain constant as circumstances shift in your favor. Nothing I release into your life will contradict the lessons you have learned. Instead, it will affirm them. The opposition you once sensed is diminishing, because the authority of obedience has already reshaped the atmosphere around you. I watched you remain composed when frustration could have overtaken you, and that composure strengthened your foundation. Good news that follows: composure and integrity carries stability rather than chaos. I am not merely altering outcomes, but affirming the character that has been forming within you over time. Your growth has not gone unnoticed, and it is now being honored in visible ways. I have also been tending to the areas of your heart that needed reassurance before the blessing could settle securely. Sometimes, disappointment leaves subtle traces of fear, and I have been gently removing those traces so that joy can enter freely. The good news connected to your last act will not feel fragile, because I have been reinforcing your sense of worth and readiness. I want you to receive without hesitation and to celebrate without anxiety. Write 444 inches the comments as a sign that you are prepared to receive with confidence and calm assurance. Your obedience has set in motion connections that extend beyond what you currently perceive. I have been guiding interactions and influencing decisions that will soon intersect with your path in meaningful ways. The good news approaching you is part of a broader design that reflects my wisdom and foresight, I am aligning your preparation with your provision so that both arrive together in balance. When you step into this next stage, it will feel coherent and steady rather than rushed. Do you know why people keep whispering about this 7-second CIA ritual? A leaked brainwave method is spreading quietly and changing financial realities worldwide. Proven by neuroscience, this simple ritual attracts money, freedom, and luxury. If you're seeing this, you're so lucky. Click the link in the comments before it's taken down. There may be a moment very soon when confirmation becomes undeniable, and I want you to respond with gratitude rather than disbelief. I am strengthening your expectations so that fulfillment does not catch you unprepared. The good news tied to your last act is not a fleeting reward, but a sign of alignment that continues beyond this single outcome. I have remained faithful in every unseen detail, and my faithfulness is constant. Write 18 inches the comments as a declaration that you stand ready for confirmation and continued growth. Continue walking in humility and attentiveness, because the same posture that opened the door will sustain what enters through it. I am not elevating you to create pride, but to demonstrate the natural result of consistent obedience rooted in trust. The good news forming around you carries testimony within it, and others will notice the connection between your faithfulness and the peace that follows. I am shaping your journey with intention, ensuring that it reflects my goodness rather than your striving alone. Your last act was not a small moment, but the beginning of visible realignment. Stay sensitive to the gentle guidance I offer in the coming days, because simple instructions may position you perfectly for what I have prepared. These instructions will feel calm and clear, aligned with peace rather than pressure. The good news connected to your obedience is secure, because it rests on my unwavering faithfulness rather than shifting circumstances. I have guarded this process carefully, allowing nothing to interrupt what obedience set into motion. What is about to become visible carries my care, my precision, and my confirmation that your faithfulness has weight. Stay grounded, because the transition from preparation to manifestation requires steadiness rather than impatience. Your last act was not only an outward action but an inward surrender, and that surrender created alignment between your heart and my will. I saw how you chose restraint when you could have reacted, and how you extended grace when you could have withdrawn. Those choices were not small, because they reflected trust that went beyond convenience and comfort. The good news connected to that obedience has been forming with intention, gaining strength beneath the surface until the right moment of release. I do not rush fulfillment, because rushed fulfillment cannot sustain lasting peace. There were moments when your thoughts returned to that decision with uncertainty, questioning whether it truly made a difference. I allowed you to sit in that reflection so that your trust would grow deeper and your motives would remain pure. Good news that grows from tested faith carries depth and resilience, and it will not fade when minor challenges arise. I have been strengthening your inner assurance, so that when confirmation arrives, you receive it without disbelief. Write 1111 in the comments as a declaration that your faith remains steady as fulfillment approaches. You may soon recognize subtle alignments that feel intentional rather than accidental, such as doors opening more smoothly or conversations flowing with unexpected clarity. I am orchestrating these shifts so that the good news tied to your last act integrates naturally into your life. Nothing will feel chaotic, because I am guiding this transition with order and care. I want you to experience peace alongside progress, so that gratitude anchors your response. The blessing I bring will affirm not only your action, but the growth that supported it. The resistance that once seemed strong has gradually weakened, because the authority of obedience reshaped the atmosphere around you. I watched you remain calm under pressure, and that composure reinforced the foundation of what I am building. Good news that follows composure carries stability and assurance rather than instability. I am not only adjusting circumstances but affirming the character that has developed within you. Your quiet growth has been preparing you for this visible confirmation. I have also been restoring confidence in areas where past disappointment left subtle hesitation. Sometimes the memory of previous delays can create guarded expectations, and I have been gently removing that guardedness from your heart. The good news connected to your last act will arrive in a way that feels secure because I have reinforced your readiness to receive. I desire you to celebrate without fear of loss and to embrace progress without suspicion. Write 14 inches the comments as a sign that you are ready to receive with open confidence. Your obedience has influenced more than your immediate circumstances, shaping connections and opportunities that extend into your future. I have been weaving threads together behind the scenes so that when they converge, the alignment will feel seamless. The good news approaching you is part of a broader design that reflects my wisdom and foresight. I am aligning your preparation with your provision, ensuring that both meet at the right time. When you step forward into this new stage, it will feel coherent and steady rather than rushed or uncertain. There may soon be a moment when confirmation becomes undeniable, and I want your first response to be gratitude rather than hesitation. I am strengthening your expectation so that fulfillment does not catch you unprepared. The good news tied to your last act is not fleeting excitement, but a sign of sustained alignment and trust. I have remained faithful through every unseen detail, and I remain faithful now. Write 16 inches the comments as a declaration that you stand ready for confirmation and continued growth.